Hi everyone, this time we're going to talk about texture. These are implied textures. We're looking at textures. Sometimes we can make textures when we create art by the materials that we use. This one right here is a weave pattern. And sometimes textures, we can also create them with a pen, a pencil, and some paint. And that's what our lesson will end up being today. But first, we're going to take a couple look at some of these textures, like this rock one right here. We know that it's rough and we know that it's hard. Whereas these pennies have that almost like a scale texture. And they can be, again, hard. They almost have a wet feel to them because we know that pennies can be cold. So it's kind of, so with textures, we can see them. Those will be our visual textures, and then we can feel them. This one right here, the fur, we know that it's fluffy, we know it's furry, we know it's hairy, we know it's soft. So there's a lot of implied things with this one. Also, this one being fur, we know that it's soft, that it's furry, and it's fluffy, and it even has a woven effect to it. Not all things, we can tell how things look soft or hard, as opposed to this one. We can realize that this one has more of a pointy look, so we understand that it could be prickly and it could be hard, but it actually might have a soft component to it too. Nature is a big spot where we can find a lot of things with texture just by looking out in our yard, right wherever you're watching this video. I'm sure there's tons of textures all around you. Try and make sure, take a look before you start your own project this afternoon, and take a look at different types of textures, maybe something you'll think of. And then obviously my small little box up here in the corner is a good thing to have for you to look at when you go ahead and start to create texture. Okay, so we've just looked at many different types of texture. So why don't we go ahead and work on drawing a few of these textures. I'm going to make 6 boxes today. I'm going to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Now in each one, I'm going to do a different monster. Let's have fun with a couple of them. And they're going to be super simple. So think of like a U. So I'm just going to, in my box, I'm just going to make a big bump here. Maybe I'll make a skinny bump right there. Another bump. Let's start off with his ears a little. Almost like a Mickey Mouse type guy. Well, we know that we're doing texture, so why don't we make this one right from the start, make him bumpy. And another one, you could do another one like that. And then actually, why don't we do one that's gonna have pointies? Okay, so now what we're gonna do is think about the faces. Let's do a monster with one eye. Let's do one monster with many eyes. Let's do another one that looks kind of mean. Maybe we make his eyebrows straight across. And then we definitely have to have a cute one. If we're gonna have a mean one, we have to have a cute one. So this one I'm gonna make, and she right away is gonna have some eyelashes, make a girly one. And then let's do, so we got one with one eye. We got, why don't we do a goofy one? We'll just do 3 big eyes. 2, 3. And we'll do one more and we'll just make him simple. He'll be our simple one. We'll just make that first one very simple. So some of them I put pupils in. Maybe I'll put some pupils in that one. Maybe this one I'll put some little eyebrows on. Some of them can have mouths, little smile. Remember, this one was going to be mean, so he's going to have little tiny beady eyes, and he's going to have teeth that are jagged. And this one right here with the many, 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 many eyes. I think I'm gonna color all of these in different colors. And he's just gonna have a big old mouth right here. And he's gonna be like a cutie guy. This one, if you notice, I haven't made any with any noses yet. I think this is the only one, and this one I'm gonna be the only one that has nose because it's the only place I can put them. I made them so big. And then of course, if this is a girl, let's make her have some lips. 2 lines go up, and he's just gonna have a little mouth. Kind of reminds me of the Minions. And then this guy, why don't we do 1 pupil up, 1 pupil down, and 1 pupil in the middle, and he can have a wavy mouth because he has no idea. Now I'm going to go ahead and do all of my texture on my different monsters using a pen. That way you can see the texture just a little bit more. So let's get texture with these with a pencil. So I'm taking out my colored pencils. Got my colored pencils up there. I got some pens in there too. You can use your colored pencils today. You can use your colored pens, your big pencils. You can do 1 monster. I did 6. I'm gonna try a bunch of different textures, so that way you guys have a couple to choose from. So let's do, I'm gonna take out my blue, and I think I'm gonna start off with my first one, and he, I think, is going to be, I think he's gonna be hairy. So I'm gonna do little lines. And just by doing all of these little lines, I am making some hair on him. Just little tiny lines. We're losing his mouth, but we'll go back to over him. And then after I've done my little lines to imply hair, if I lightly, very gently, I'm gonna take that same color and I'm gonna color him in. And you can still see those little lines. That texture is still implied, but he's still a little hairy, isn't he? And then I can even go make some lines here, maybe some lines sticking off the top of his head. So there we go. There's some little ones. And I can go back in and I can go in with a marker, maybe trace. That way you guys can see. See, there he is, he's still there. Okay, how about this little girl over here? I'm gonna go ahead and trace her eyes right away. Put those pupils in. I always like to leave a little light shining through. I never color my pupils in all of the way. I always leave a little dot, so that way you see the shine in her eyes. Just get some mascara on. And there we go, little smile. Trying to be all cute. All right, so I've traced her, and maybe I'll do my texture with my marker. I'm gonna use a thinner marker for you guys. So this one, we're gonna do, she was bumpy, right? So I'm just gonna go ahead and use these same kind of bumps, just like we did over here with the texture. I'm gonna do just curves. And so she has a curly effect, and you can actually make them a little bit more curly. Maybe I'll do that. Add a little bit more of a curl to her. She's got a lot going on. Woo. And we are gonna color her in pink. So I'm gonna make sure everything around her gets colored in pink. And then her nose has to be a different color too, so I'm gonna get that red in there. Nice red nose. Maybe we'll add that red right to her lips. And there's number 2. All right, number 3, what do we got? Well, let's go over to Mr. Spunky over here. We've got some nice green for him. All right, so again, I made his outside spiky. I'm just gonna do the same thing, and I'm gonna use the color pencil again this time. I'm just going spikes. I can go up, I can go down. So just by making these lines, I'm creating texture. I'm implying that that texture is what it is. And so I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna color lightly, so that way we see those dark lines. So I pressed with my texture, I made it a little bit harder. I pressed those a little bit harder. And then by coloring in nice and light, I can still see my texture. And he's still, I don't think any of my monsters look very scary, that's for sure. And I'm gonna go back and trace his eyes over. You got one up. And one to the side. And don't forget his mouth. He looks a little confused. Okay. So you get the idea. I'm gonna do these other two off of, or other three, sorry. Do these other three off the camera and I'll come back and show you how I finished. And here's the finished project. So I have my, when I finished up here, over here, I made them look like you tried to have scales, and all that was is a bunch of U's. And then this one, I tried to do like a little weave pattern like we saw in that first video, and I just did crisscross one direction and then crisscrosses the other way. And then this one I tried a bumpy texture. And I think it looks all right, but I think because of all the eyes, it makes them look like there's a couple of them hiding in there. So all I did was upside down U's. So like here I have the U's like regular, and then these are upside down. And I just did bumps. And again, all of these have to do with doing a texture first and some lines and doing that, and then coloring it nice and lightly. So again, you could do 6 like I did, or you can do one. You could do one really, really big one. Or you could do as many as you want. So again, I didn't put any legs on them. I didn't put any feet on them. You did see that I put some horns on this one, but it is completely up to you how you want to design your monster. Have fun.